Good evening, distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you to please stand if you are able for the arrival of the official party, followed by the national anthem with lyrics by Judith Durham, first performed in 2009. Tonight, they'll be performed by Elizabeth McCall and Julian Ferraretto. Please remain standing for the national anthem. Thank you. Thank you very much to Elizabeth and Julian. Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2024 Australian of the Year Awards for South Australia. Good evening to you all. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I'm Deb Tribe from ABC Radio Adelaide, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be your host this evening here at this iconic location in the William Magarey Room at the Adelaide Oval. Right around the nation, each state and territory have their own moment to recognise and celebrate extraordinary achievement, just as we are tonight. There will be stories of courage, compassion, resilience and hope. They are the stories of often everyday Australians with a passion for making a difference. Whether you're here with us in the room or watching online at australianoftheyear.org.au, welcome one and all. You're in for a great celebration of some incredible people tonight. I do encourage you to show your support on social media using the hashtag, which is hashtag AUS of the Year. The Australian of the Year Awards shine a spotlight on those special people whose contributions lead us, inspire us and make our country a far better place. Welcome to all of the nominees and your families and friends. You all serve as a reminder of what can grow out of small seeds of action. I know that we will all learn from and be inspired by your tenacity and your commitment. We would also like to officially welcome the Governor of South Australia, Her Excellency, the Honourable Francis Adamson AC and Mr Rod Bunton, the Honourable Peter Malinauskas MP Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Patrick Gorman MP, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister and Assistant Minister for the Public Service, Ms Dana Wortley MP Member for Torrens, Senior Defence Force representatives, Ms Taran Brumford, 2023 Australian of the Year, and Dr James Mukey, 2020 Australian of the Year. Ms Isabel Marshall, 2021 Young Australian of the Year, Mr John Foreman, OAM, Chair, and Mr Mark Fraser, Chief Executive Officer of the National Australia Day Council, Deputy Chair and Board of the Australia Day Council South Australia, Mrs Jan Shawley, Chief Executive Officer, Australia Day Council of South Australia, local government representatives, sponsors, tonight's nominees again, former Australian of the Year alumni, and lastly, a special acknowledgement to the Government of South Australia for supporting these awards and tonight's events. I would like to acknowledge that we meet this evening on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We would now like to commence with a welcome to country by Uncle Frank Wanganeen and music by Electric Fields.
Noi tampanti tuwilla Berkiana. Noi tampanti Bamba Balyarendi. Kaurna Yurtiana, Martichianga, Kaurna Miona. Noi Wangdi, Marni Noi Butni, Kaurna Yurtiana. I'd like to recognise the ancestors. I recognise where we hold in this event is on Kaurna country. On behalf of the Kaurna people, I welcome you to Kaurna country. Warinthi Kamunka. Let's walk together. Nataya.
Yeah, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight, as you can see on the screen, doing the Welcome to Country, and yeah, I'm sort of really honoured to be here and recognising all the nominees for the Australian of the Year. So congratulations. It's a unique sort of, sort of privilege to get it. So yeah, make the most of it. But Manej's probably here with the voice and all that sort of stuff that's sort of happening. It's been a bit of a roadblock in some ways, but I still have faith in the people that eventually things will smooth out and get better. But I won't sort of go too far, but it's really great to be at this event and sort of recognising, future leaders that hopefully will make a big dent in our society. So enjoy the night and have a nice evening. So Nataya, thank you.
Thank you to Uncle Frank Wanganeen for your words. In collaboration with Electric Fields' wonderful music, that it was a very profound welcome to country. I would now like to welcome to the stage Mrs. Jan Chorley, Chief Executive Officer of the Australia Day Council South Australia, to say a few words. Please give Jan a warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone. As we gather this evening, I acknowledge that we meet on the land of the Kaurna people, and I thank you, Uncle Frank, for your very warm and wonderful welcome to country. We deeply appreciate it. As a nation, as part of our democracy, our people voted a couple of weeks ago in a referendum, as we know. It was a critical issue for our future. We did not all agree to take the action that was proposed, we did not agree to take the action that was proposed and the referendum. So, like many other referenda, overall it was rejected. This has caused sorrow and pain to many, especially to some of our First Nations peoples. For some, it was relief that it was over, maybe a national shudder, and for others, described confusion. This ground experience of our democracy has left its mark, perhaps on many Australians. This now leaves emerging questions and a desire for a re-examination of the potential for our nation. In the unique context of this referendum, I'd like to simply refer to the fact that the Australia Day Council of South Australia has been carefully and respectfully leading by listening to the voices of First Nations peoples and many others as the issues and differing perspectives on Australia Day are more fully understood. We understand that our next Australia Day 2024, in light of the outcome of the referendum, may be impacted, and we are dedicated to working hard and continuing to build on our last 7 years of solid reconciliation. Good evening to each and every one of you, and welcome. Our MC has beautifully acknowledged many of our distinguished guests, but I'd particularly like to thank our patron, Her Excellency, the Honourable Francis Adamson AC, Governor of South Australia, the Honourable Peter Malinauskas MP, our Premier, the Honourable Patrick Gorman MP, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister and Assistant Minister for the Public Service. Tonight is about our nominees, and you are very honoured guests, accompanied by your friends and family, and we are very thrilled to share this evening with you. As nominees, you who we're recognising tonight, congratulations to each of you on your achievements. It's a great privilege for the Australia Day Council of South Australia, in partnership with the National Australia Day Council, to acknowledge your contributions to our community, to our state and nation. What stands out when reviewing tonight's nominees is a profound message, I think. An active citizen requires all of us to step up to ensure our collective future. As we know, we are living in extraordinary and complex times, and whether we're ready or not, these changes are upon us. Our nominees in all of their fields of endeavour uphold these obligations as active citizens and demonstrate to our state, and in some instances our nation, that nothing is so satisfying than giving our all to a cause or addressing a complex societal challenge. It is clear how so many of the Australians of the Year recipients have contributed to the changing Australian landscape and have shone a light on matters that are very important to all of us. These awards celebrate Australians who've made a difference to our country and reflect the very best of our nation. If we can just take a moment to focus on our very own South Australians. The 2019 Australian of the Year, Dr. Richard Harris, you would all remember in terms of the cave rescue of the trapped young soccer team and their coach. The 2020 Australian of the Year, Dr. James Mukey, who's with us tonight, an incredible AM, I should say, advocating for those living with type 2 diabetes and challenging our perception and relationships with sugar. A young Australian of the Year, Isabel Marshall, who's with us tonight. What a champion you were in the establishment of the organisation addressing period poverty. The 2023 Australian of the Year, Taryn Brumfitt, our body image activist, director, writer and speaker. Taryn leads the body image movement And Taran, I want to say you have made such an impact with your work, not only throughout our state, our nation, but worldwide. And what an extraordinary year you've had, and what an extraordinary impact. And we are so privileged to have you as one of ours. We also have the 2023 Young Australian of the Year, Awia Mabil, a Socceroo and co-founder of the not-for-profit organisation Barefoot for Boots. And 2023, we saw the Senior Australian of the Year, Sandy Miller. What an extraordinary Aboriginal rights activist, child protection advocate. Sandy has inspired a wave of Aboriginal foster parents. 2023 also saw our South Australian local hero, Christine Robertson, OAM, co-founder of Lost Pets of South Australia and the creator of Chip Blitz program that enables pet ownership to be affordable and accessible to everyone. So we sincerely thank Taran, Sandy, Christine and Awia for their leadership that each of you have shown in amplifying your message across the state and nation. Can we please acknowledge all four of them? I just want to say a couple of other thanks that are really important to our organisation. One is it must go to the Australian Day Council sponsors and supporters and our members, but also I really want to acknowledge the support of the Department for Premier and Cabinet and the National Australia Day Council. We greatly value these significant partnerships. We also, just in finishing, would like to acknowledge the councils. We work with 68 councils across the state, local government, and as we know, local government is central in the beautiful ceremonies that are conducted across the year to welcome new citizens into the community. We all know that everything starts with a sense of belonging, and there are many factors that can erode social cohesion, and local government provides a crucial role in fostering strong, cohesive and resilient communities. To our board members and our passionate team of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, we say thank you for your hard and dedicated work, ensuring that everything we do across the year in celebrating this great state and nation is maintained at the highest standards. Finally, to our nominees, congratulations on becoming a finalist in the Australian of the Year Awards of your contributions to our communities and state. We hope you have a most wonderful night. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. I am pleased to say that once again this year we received thousands of nominations from the public nominating someone who is truly inspirational. After a very difficult shortlisting process, the 16 incredible nominees here tonight were selected by a diverse panel of representatives from across South Australia. Our nominees range from volunteers to professionals to local community members to fearless advocates. They each have their own pathways and motivations. All I can say is get ready to be inspired as we hear their stories. One recipient will be announced in each of the 4 categories, which are South Australia's Local Hero, Young South Australian of the Year, Senior South Australian of the Year, and the South Australian of the Year. Those 4 recipients will then join the other state and territory recipients at the National Awards on the eve of Australia Day, with the Prime Minister revealing the national recipients live on the ABC. It goes without saying that our nominees are already legends in Australia's eyes, and we thank them for their contribution to our country. Let's give them all a huge round of applause. I would now like to invite the Governor of South Australia, Her Excellency the Honourable Frances Adamson AC, to share some words and to remain on stage with us to present the first 2 awards for the evening. Please welcome Her Excellency.
Uncle Frank Aya, Ghana Bogana Aya, Ghana Mian Aya, Yachimin Aya, Kumitana Yatananko, Natuna Tampandi, Ghana Miana, Yachi Yatamazuna, Pokimananko, Yalaka, Takareche. Dear Uncle Frank, my respects to you all, And I also acknowledge that the land we're meeting on this evening is Ghana land, as it has been in the past, is today, and will be in future. Every year, this wonderful event brings together everyone in this room, people like you, our political leaders, our Premier, Lieutenant Governor, our ministers, and it's wonderful to see Patrick Gorman here from Canberra, the Leader of the Opposition, our Defence Force representatives, not only our wonderful Australia Day Council SA leaders, but their counterparts at the national level too. And of course, most importantly, over here to the left, all with their name tags, all waiting for the great moment, the wonderful nominees for this year. Friends all, Rod and I really are delighted to be with you this evening for the 2024 South Australia Australian of the Year Awards. We've just had the pleasure of meeting all of the South Australian nominees, and we've also had the pleasure of meeting those who've been supporting them, those who've been with them for the highs and inevitably some of the lows, and Rod and I want to acknowledge you as well. When we reflect on what makes this nation great, we only have to look at the extraordinary contributions people make to building a strong yet compassionate and resilient society. Because people are undoubtedly our nation's strength. The 16 finalists here today embody that spirit of community for which Australians are renowned. The contributions by the nominees cover a myriad endeavours, but a common thread is that all have identified a need and stepped up to make a difference. They've worked hard and have given the generous gift of their time, expertise and passion, not because they have to, but because they want to. All reflect our deeply held values of respect, equality, opportunity and compassion. Importantly, they make us proud and inspire us all to do better, to examine what we too can do to improve our environment or lift up others. By any measure, the nominees have set an extremely high standard. Yet another message of these awards is that it is within us all, no matter our backgrounds, no matter where we've come from, to contribute and make our community strong. The awards give us an opportunity to say thank you to those unsung heroes who don't seek recognition, but are nonetheless thoroughly deserving of our gratitude. In that regard, I look forward to presenting the local hero and the South Australian Young Australian of the Year Award shortly, and like everyone here, I eagerly await the announcement by the Premier a little later of the Senior Australian of the Year for South Australia and South Australia's Australian of the Year. I applaud the Australia Day Council for their stewardship of these prestigious awards. I congratulate all the finalists and wish the winners the best of luck in the national awards. You inspire us and show us what it means to be an exceptional Australian.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your warm words, and what an asset to our state you are. We are very, very lucky to have you. Now, our first 2024 Australian of the Year Award for South Australia is the category of Local Hero, which recognises Australians making a significant contribution in their local community. Let's learn some more about this category, which is supported by the Department of Home Affairs.
Our local heroes are everyday Australians doing amazing things in their local communities. They represent what's great about communities. They keep their communities strong and they are the fabric of our society.
They'll tell you when we open our doors to our neighbours, we open our hearts and we give ourselves the chance to rejoice with others, to learn from them.
Rural people are worth fighting for because they get up and they show up in fire and flood and droughts and plagues and pandemics, and they put food on the nation's table. So the least we can do as a nation is make sure that they're getting support when they look for it.
Australia's Local Hero Award is a celebration and acknowledgement of those who go above and beyond to help others and who actively seek ways to improve society. Not only have you been an active citizen in your local community, you identified a community need, and instead of sitting back, you took action to promote change and help others. People are the heart of our thriving multicultural Australia, and as a finalist in a Local Hero Award, you have had a life-altering impact and have influenced meaningful change in your local communities. We thank you for making Australia a better, kinder place. Congratulations.
The award not only acknowledges work done so far, but gives encouragement to continue, and that's important.
To our Aussie kids doing it tough, hang on, don't give up, help's on the way.
It's not easy to just sit around and talk about the problems. I urge everyone, be kind and respectful. You too can be part of the change of the solution.
Some amazing people represented in that video. I'd now like to invite Christine Robertson, OAM, South Australia's 2023 Local Hero, to join us on stage. Christine, before we announce this year's recipient, what's life been like for you since being announced as the South Australian 2023 Local Hero?
Oh, life has been amazing. There's been so many doors open and so many opportunities. It's really been the most amazing year. But I decided to go out with a bang at the end of this year. So with Chiplets is what we do. In South Australia alone, there's about 260,000 cats that are owned, not feral cats, owned cats. And it's estimated that less than 30% of them are actually microchipped. So tomorrow, with retail giant Petstock and people and culture specialist PeopleQ, we're going to announce the biggest microchipping program for cats in the Southern Hemisphere called Go Zero SA. So there will be zero excuses for people not to microchip their cat because we're going to be doing it for zero cost to owners. So we're going out with a bang. It'll be November the 18th. And an absolutely huge day launch tomorrow. So yeah, working for the year to make that happen. I'm very excited about what it's going to bring to us.
Thank you, Christine, for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Now, just before we announce the winner, let's learn some more about the nominees for South Australia's 2024 Local Hero.
Ex-Adelaide Crows captain Chris McDermott is the founder and board chair of Little Heroes Foundation, a not-for-profit organisation supporting the mental and physical well-being of South Australian children. In the last 27 years, Chris has helped the foundation raise and contribute almost $40 million towards major pieces of equipment and facilities at Adelaide's Women's and Children's Hospital. Jack Nixon has volunteered in a range of roles for Loxton's SES, Berry SES and Glossop Country Fire Service. During the 2019-20 bushfire season, Jack completed 2 deployments to Kangaroo Island and was awarded the National Emergency Medal for his contributions. He selflessly shares his skills with new volunteers, helping address emergency skills shortages in the region. Wurrungu and Kukakatar man Paulie Vandenberg is the founder of the Jindu Foundation, South Australia's first Aboriginal-led not-for-profit organisation. It provides culturally responsive education, sporting and cultural awareness activities to help students succeed at school, gain career opportunities and become future leaders. A former elite basketballer, Paulie is also increasing diversity in football as the AFL's National Diversity Talent Manager. Rachel Zaltron, OAM, founded Backpacks for SA Kids from her carport. The organisation now provides backpacks with age-appropriate supplies for newborns through to 16-year-olds who are taken into care, experiencing homelessness, or need to quickly leave their homes due to family violence. Since 2012, Rachel and her team have helped more than 86,000 South Australian children.
What amazing people. Aren't we lucky to have them in our community? Christine, I'm going to invite you now to present each of the nominees with their certificate, to be followed by a photograph with Her Excellency. So I would like to welcome to the stage the nominees, Chris McDermott. Jack Nixon. Paulie Vandenberg. Rachel Zaltron. Wonderful. Let's give them all another round of applause. Christine, I'm going to invite you to please tell us who is South Australian 2024 Local Hero.
And just before I do that, I want to wish everyone, how fantastic it is to be finalists. You've got a year ahead of you with extraordinary opportunities. Just grab it and run with it and enjoy every single moment, no matter how daunting it is. So, the lucky envelope. Okay. And the 2024 Local Hero for South Australia is Rachel Zaltron.
Rachel, I'll invite you over here. Congratulations to you. Now, when you packed that first backpack in your carport, did you think you would be providing 86,000 backpacks to vulnerable South Australian children?
So my original goal was 10. I tend to get carried away with things, so just a little bit carried away.
What first inspired you to do this sort of work in your community?
I was incredibly lucky growing up. I grew up with a family who did this kind of thing to everybody. I had fantastic parents to mirror off, and a beautiful community and family around me, so I was lucky I had so many opportunities.
Kindness is a very underrated quality. What have been some of the impacts that you've seen of the work that you've done in providing so many backpacks to so many children?
Yeah, it doesn't just come down to the backpacks anymore. This is the amazing thing about the Backpacks for SA Kids community. It comes down to our volunteers, we've had volunteers tell us that without us, they probably would have committed suicide. We have, oh, goodness me, I don't know what just happened. You know, we have this phenomenal community that get around each other and let people know that they're worth it. So I promised yesterday that I would relay an experience that one of our volunteers had, where she went and spoke at a local childcare centre, and a young girl that was doing work experience ran out after her and told her that she was a recipient of a backpack and her family were recipients. And one of the things that she said was, I get it. I get it now. I get it. This always knew why we did it, but now I get it. She goes, snot and all, because they were full of tears and giggles and snot bubbles. They completely get it. They get that the simple things can make the biggest difference.
Before we let you go, just one last question, Rachel. Where would you like to see the biggest change in the area of work that you're doing?
I want the kids to know that they're worth it. I don't want to hear... I don't want to hear another 17-year-old kid tell me that no one had ever told them that they believed in them, or that they were proud of them, or that they were loved. So, as a community, that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that these kids know that they're worth it.
Rachel Zouchon, OAM South Australian 2024 Local Hero, thank you and congratulations once again. Now we move on to the Young Australian of the Year category, supported by the Australian Government Office for Youth. This award was introduced in 1979 and it recognises inspiring young Australians aged between 16 and 30 years of age who've already accomplished great things. Let's hear more about our Young Australian of the Year category from some past recipients.
When you look at the Young Australians of the Year, we're all reminded that our future is in really good hands.
I truly view this award not just as for me, but rather as an endorsement of the achievements of the Australian women's football national team, and more broadly, Australian women's football and women's sport in general.
We have the power to shape the future and make Australia a place where we're all proud, where we all belong, and where we stand united.
It's so great to congratulate our outstanding 2024 State and Territory Young Australians of the Year finalists. Now, you've been nominated because you're trailblazers, opening up new opportunities for you and for those around you. Your skills and your commitment prove that young people can transform Australia for the better. And the things you've already achieved give your peers, your community and the country hope for the future. You're highlighting the way forward to a fairer and stronger Australia, and that's to be celebrated. That's why our government is a proud sponsor of the Young Australian of the Year award and encourage all young Australians to be active in their communities. So congratulations to each and every one of you on your success. I wish you the best for tonight, and I look forward to seeing what we can create together for Australia's future.
The Young Australians of the Year have a really impressive energy and a drive to make Australia a better place.
I simply couldn't live with myself, knowing that there were Australians suffering from medical conditions that could be treated.
I've been given an opportunity in such a beautiful country to be myself, and for me the most important thing is to help the next generation and also inspire them to be themselves and follow their dreams.
Oh, isn't it just so reassuring to know that these young people are the future of our nation? Our 2023 Young Australian of the Year, Awa Mabil, is unfortunately unable to be with us tonight due to international football commitments, but Awa has sent this short video message for us tonight.
Hello everybody, it's Awa Mabil here. just want to say good day, and I wish you guys all having a great night. It's been a real honor for me to be the Young Australian of the Year in 2023. It's something that will remain with me forever in my heart. It's a responsibility that for me and my family is something that we're all proud of, and it's something that I carry with pride everywhere I go. I know I'm carrying the flag of our country worldwide in some sense, so I carry that with a happiness, and just to be myself, and also represent our beautiful country that we all are lucky enough to live in. So it's been a real honor for me to be the Young Australian of the Year for 2023. And for me, I would love to hand this over to you with the best wishes, and wishing you all the best in everything that you do. And I'm sending you all the love that I have. And I look forward to meeting one day. But congratulations. And I'm handing this over to the Young Australian of the Year for 2024. Best wishes.
Thank you, Awa. We're sending our love back to you as well. Joining me on stage to present the Young Australian of the Year award is Dr. Trudy Lynn, South Australia's 2022 Young Australian of the Year. Please welcome Trudy. Trudy, can you please tell us about the importance of this award and its ongoing impact?
Thank you, Deb. For me, I really believe that we're all here for a very important reason. I believe that every person matters, and who we are matters. What we say matters, what we do matters, because every action that we take has an impact on those around us. And these daily impacts can sometimes be unseen or invisible and intangible. And that's why I believe these awards are so important, because it's a platform for these positive impacts to now be visible, be seen, and be tangible, which then opens the gateway for advocacy and representation of important causes to create even bigger impacts. But most importantly, I feel like these awards inspire us all because they recognise the power and capability that each one of us have on positively changing our communities. So I'd like to extend a very heartfelt thank you and congratulations to all the nominees tonight. We honour you not just for what you do, but also who you are.
Thank you so much, Trudy, for those inspirational words. I'm going to let you stand over here, please, so that we can take a look at our nominees for the South Australian 2024 Young Australian of the Year.
Tiani Adamson is a proud Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman, descended from the Kororek Nations. A wildlife conservation biologist, Tiani is passionate about sustainability and the intersection of Indigenous justice, climate change, and environmental conservation. She's recognised as a next-generation leader and as a youth dialogue member for the Uluru Statement from the Heart. Qasim Bamanzadeh is a leader, mentor, volunteer and role model for young people. Despite the disadvantages and struggles of childhood, Qasim has overcome adversity by getting education and helping those in need. Now a coordinator for Rotary International Youth Leadership Programs, he mentors young people, volunteers and fundraisers for numerous causes. At age 14, Kylan Beach lost his mother Tammy to cancer. Kylan's mission since then has been to help others avoid the same loss. With his 3 older brothers, Kylan organised 2 fundraisers, the first a 220-kilometre bike ride in 2019 and the second a 2,220-kilometre ride in 2022, raising more than $100,000 for the Cancer Council. Hugo Tahini is an elite athlete living with Down syndrome. He's the current world record holder for shot put, discus and the 4x100 metre relay in the Virtus Global Games and International Athletics Association for persons with Down syndrome. Hugo lectures university medical students about inclusive communication with his mentor Natalie Graham. He's also a health ambassador for Down Syndrome Australia.
As I said, so lucky to have young people like that in our community. Trudy, I'm going to ask you to please present each nominee with their certificate, followed by a photograph with Her Excellency. I would like to welcome to the stage the nominees, Tiani Adamson. Qasim Barmanzadeh. Kylan Beach. Hugo Tahini. Let's give all of our nominees a huge round of applause. Trudy, I'm going to invite you back here to please tell us who is our South Australian 2024 Young Australian of the Year.
The 2024 Young Australian of the Year for South Australia is Tiani Adamson.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. Congratulations, Tiani. Now, I've been told you have to stand here. So now, Tiani, I only met you last week at a Superstars of STEM forum, and I've just learnt from Her Excellency the Governor that you are actually related to one another. That is amazing. Did you know that?
Yes.
All right. Tell us, you've got multiple passions, but where did your passions for sustainability, for climate change solutions and Indigenous education come from?
Thank you so much. And first and foremost, paying respects. Thank you so much, Uncle Frank, and to beautiful Kaurna elders and ancestors and Kaurna people for having me here today. I'm so lucky to live and work and be welcomed on this country. I have had a really wonderful life. I grew up with a single mum who's up the back there. Thanks, Mum. And we lived in a variety... Yay, Mum! We lived in a variety of different Aboriginal communities all over Australia. So although I'm a Khareg woman and have ancestry descending from lots of different nations, I had the privilege of growing up on Palm Island, which is a massive Aboriginal community off of Townsville, as well as in Coffin Bay and Port Augusta. So I'm paying homage to the wonderful Aboriginal leaders and ancestors from a variety of different mobs who raised me to be who I am today, who taught me to care about country, to care about sustainability, to look after what we stand on, and that is the apex of who we are. We are not separate from country. We're exactly the same. So plants, animal and people are all the same thing. So I'm really lucky to be able to carry that forward and to work with amazing First Nations people who are doing that work today.
Tiani, you work across a range of fields, but what impact are you seeing from the work that you're doing in those fields?
We're in a really interesting time where it's become quite sexy to look at and make changes in First Nations communities at the moment. So we're seeing a lot of things change in that way. The most important thing in this space is that First Nations people have the voice and hold the leadership within these communities to make the changes within their own. And we're slowly seeing that change, which is really exciting. And I hope that this award, it means so much more than the recognition for myself. I hope that this allows me to pass the mic to more First Nations leaders, to more communities on the ground who don't have the privilege and the voice that I do to be able to stand in places like this and to be able to share that voice with you all, because we have thousands and thousands of amazing leaders doing incredible work on the ground.
Tiani, just finally, what advice would you offer to young Australians listening to this right now about how to affect change in their communities?
Don't let the horrible and the difficult things that happen to you get in the way from following your dreams and making changes in the places that you really care about. I've had a difficult life and I haven't shed much light on it, but maybe I will now in the future, not right now, but in the future. And I haven't let the things that have happened to me change who I am. I've kept forging forward and using that power and that strength, as well as the strength that I get from my friends and my family and my beautiful partner, to hold me up and keep forging change to make things better for others. So know that you can do it, believe in yourself and keep going, even if the change doesn't seem that substantive. It's still happening and it's still moving forward.
Tiani Adamson, South Australian 2024 Young Australian of the Year. Thank you and congratulations. I can definitely see the relationship between the Adamsons there. Can we please also have a round of applause for the Governor of South Australia, Her Excellency, the Honourable Frances Adamson, AC. Thank you, Governor, for your generous support in presenting the first two awards this evening. We now have a musical performance from Pocket String Quartet, and I'd invite them to come to the stage right now. They're featuring Julian Ferraretto, who we saw earlier, who arranged this version of Waltzing Matilda. He is, if you haven't seen Julian before, South Australia's leading jazz violinist. And I asked him how he approached the arrangement of Waltzing Matilda. He said he wanted it to be emotive, playful, to show the colours of Australia and to have his groove, because he likes a groove. Just to introduce the members of the quartet as they set up on stage. On violin, Robin Anthony. On viola, Linda Garrett. On cello, Sharon Gregorian. Yes, Gregorian, and of course Julian Ferraretto. And just to remind you, we have two more awards yet to go tonight: the Senior South Australian of the Year and the Australian of the Year. And just thank you, while we're talking music, to the wonderful St Aloysius Jazz Ensemble. I think they're called the Small Jazz Combo, for their music earlier. Let's now hear from Pocket String Quartet and Waltzing Matilda. Thank you very much to the Pocket String Quartet and the arrangement by Julian Ferraretto. I think you hit all of the things you wanted there, Julian, the emotion, the colour, and who would have thought that Waltzing Matilda could have a groove, but it certainly did. Thank you very much for that wonderful performance. We would now like to invite the Honourable Peter Malinauskas MP, Premier of South Australia, to say a few words and remain on stage to present the final 2 awards of the evening. Please welcome the Premier of South Australia.
Thanks very much, Deb. To Uncle Frank, thanks so much for your generous welcome to country. I too would like to acknowledge that we're on the lands of the Kaurna people and pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging, and I think we should regularly reflect just how lucky we are to be able to share this special patch of land with the longest living culture that human history has ever known. To Her Excellency, Frances Addison AC, to Mr Patrick Gorman, Assistant Minister for the Prime Minister of our country, my other parliamentary colleagues that are here, ladies and gentlemen, one and all. There's so many things that make Australia unique. One of them, of course, is that we are a travelling nation. Australians are well known for travelling across the seas in any capacity, more than most other countries around the world. We like to get on a plane and check out the other joints. But when we come back home, almost uniformly, we get that feeling. We're on the plane and, you know, in South Australia's case, we might be lucky enough to sit on the left-hand side of the plane and get a view out the window when we're coming in over Adelaide. And you get that amazing feeling, that feeling to be coming back home, and it fills you with a sense of pride and more often than not, a sense of excitement. And it's probably worth thinking about, well, what's that about? What underpins that suite of emotions? And part of it, undoubtedly, is just coming home. I mean, everyone likes to come home. I think part of it is the fact that you know you're coming home to one of the most fortunate places anywhere in the world. Our standard of living is exceptional. On almost every indice that measures standard of living around the world, Australia is consistently in the top handful of nations. I think the most accurate measure is the Human Development Index, where Australia sits, according to the UN, consistently somewhere between 2 and 5 most livable, exceptional standards of living anywhere in the world. And the coming home element always makes you feel a bit special too. But the truth is, there are a lot of other people who choose to leave their own countries to come here. So it's not just the idea of coming home. There is something different about this place. There is something unique about it that attracts people who come from all over the world. And we open our hearts to them consistently. A compassionate policy to welcome people from other countries, particularly sometimes those in need. But it's that common set of values that underpins that policy that makes this place so special. A common set of values where we subscribe to the idea of living in a fair country where everybody deserves an opportunity regardless of their background, regardless of their circumstance, their race, their ethnicity, their colour, their creed, their relative wealth. Everyone here deserves a chance. And it's that set of values that we all subscribe to that underpin the success of this country. The sense of community, the sense of shared prosperity being more important than individual wealth or acclaim. And that is what makes tonight so special. Because despite the fact that we celebrate those common values, we also have a chance to acknowledge exceptionalism amongst Australians who go on above and beyond the ordinary effort that we should all subscribe to. And just listening to the award nominees and the recipients tonight, it is impossible not to be inspired. So to each and every one of you who have been nominated, congratulations. To past recipient winners, you have done us proud, and to future winners, I have no doubt that you will too. But there is one last final observation that I've got to make. And it's to do with, sorry Patrick, I know you're representing the Commonwealth, but as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, there is one patch of earth that's even more special. And forgive me for acknowledging the role that South Australia plays. 3 out of the last 5 winners of the Australian of the Year have come from South Australia. Three out of 5. Now, it's a country of 27 million people. We're 1.7 million of that, so if that's not punching above our weight, then I don't know what is. Now, to the future South Australian of the Year winner that will be announced tonight, no pressure. 4 out of 6, it's got to be the target. But we have punched above our weight. I think that says a lot about who we are as a state and a community and where we're going. We're very fortunate to be part of it. It's fantastic to celebrate it tonight, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the winners being named. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier, for those motivating and thoughtful words. Well, I'd like to now talk about the Department of Health and Aged Care, because it's the category partner for our next award, which is the Senior Australian of the Year. This award celebrates those Australians aged 65 years and over who continue to achieve and to make a difference. Let's hear more about our Senior Australian of the Year category.
The Senior Australian of the Year award is an award that really carries a lot of respect because it's a reflection of many decades of work by the recipient.
Reading is probably the most powerful thing that you can give to a child, reading and stories.
I pray that all people in our wonderful country, Australia, regardless of language, culture, skin colour or religious belief, may stand tall as proud Australians.
The Senior Australian of the Year award recognises and celebrates the incredible achievements of older Australians around the country. As the Minister for Aged Care, I want to congratulate all of you on being nominated. Ageing well means staying healthy and connecting with community. Improving the lives of others shows your continued passion and commitment to living well. I wish you all the best in the finals, but importantly, I want to acknowledge that every one of you should be proud of your continued achievements. You are an inspiration to all of us, and your legacies will benefit the nation for generations to come.
The Senior Australians of the Year are inspirational not only to other senior Australians, but to all Australians, and particularly to the younger generations coming through.
Bystander first aid is proven to prevent death in those vital minutes before an ambulance arrives.
Here in Australia, we are fortunate to be the home of the oldest continuing surviving cultures in the world. This is something we should be proud of and we should celebrate.
Unfortunately, our South Australian 2023 Senior Australian of the Year, Sandra Miller, is unwell this evening and unable to join us. Get well soon, Sandra, if you're watching this. But to say a few words on Sandra's behalf, please welcome her colleague and friend, Kim Morey.
First of all, I'd like to thank Uncle Frank for his greeting and welcome to country. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow South Australians, I would just like to take a moment to say a few words on behalf of Sandra Miller, our outgoing Senior of the Year for South Australia 2023. These are Sandy's words. Today we gather here to celebrate the remarkable achievements and contributions of our newly crowned South Australians for the year 2024. It is a moment of great pride and joy as we recognise the dedication, hard work and spirit of service that these individuals have demonstrated throughout their lives. In South Australia, we have a long history of celebrating diversity, inclusivity and unity. However, as we commemorate the success of our nominees, I would also like to address a matter that has weighed heavily on my heart, the recent referendum regarding the voice of Aboriginal people in our country. I stand before you with deep disappointment about the outcome of the referendum. It is disheartening to witness a lack of understanding, empathy and effort to research the truth before making such an important decision. The voice of my people is a critical aspect of our country's heritage, and our insights and wisdom are invaluable in shaping our collective future. As we celebrate the achievements of our South Australians of the Year 2024, let us take this moment as an opportunity to reflect and remind ourselves of the importance of unity, listening and valuing the voices of all of our community members. Our commitment to justice and truth-telling should guide us as we move forward, working together to build a more inclusive, empathetic and harmonious South Australia for all. On reflection, I found this role came at a time when I was least prepared for it. Although I have retired, I'm as busy as I have always been. I wanted to say how vital the regional tours are, and it was disappointing that only one could go ahead this year. I really believe these tours to country areas are so important for our country citizens. I found that there was many commitments and I was unable to do more within the role. But in closing, I once again offer my sincere congratulations to all of you who are being recognised here tonight. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much to Kim Morey, who was reading the words there of our 2023 Senior Australian of the Year, Sandra Miller. Thank you for joining us tonight, Kim. Okay, let's find out what makes our nominees for 2024 Senior Australian of the Year so deserving.
Professor Frances Baum AO devotes her professional life to creating healthy, equitable and sustainable societies. The public health social scientist is a powerful ambassador for social determinants of health. A past co-chair of the Global Steering Council of the People's Health Movement, Frances was made an Officer of the Order of Australia in 2016 for community and public health services. Commander Stephen Dunning, RAN, retired, has made a profound difference to veterans, especially those experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder and people with a disability. Stephen has trained more than 600 Australian Defence Force personnel and defence civilians in suicide prevention strategies. Now a volunteer advocacy and peer support person, he has provided life-saving help to countless serving and non-serving members. Sister of Mercy, Meredith Evans, has dedicated her life to helping others. Meredith has provided kind, non-judgmental care and assistance to many. She set up the South Australian chapter of Young Mercy Links, a network for young people passionate about social justice. She also re-established Justice for Refugees SA and the Young Christian Workers in South Australia. Glyn Scott is founder of the Love, Hope and Gratitude Foundation, providing counselling, advocacy and educational programs to domestic violence survivors and shelter for adults, children and pets. Glyn survived years of violence and sexual abuse, both as a child and in her first marriage in the 1960s. With courage and compassion, Glyn continues to devote her time to other survivors.
Another incredible collection of South Australians. I would now like to invite Barbara Spriggs, South Australia's 2018 Senior of the Year, to the stage to present the certificates to our nominees and announce the 2024 recipient. Welcome, Barbara. We will now present our nominees with their certificate, followed by a photograph with the Premier. I would like to welcome to the stage the nominees. Professor Fran Baum, AO. Sister Meredith Evans. Commander Stephen Dunning, RAN, retired. And Glenn Scott. Thank you. Can we please have another round of applause for these incredibly important members of our community? Now, Barbara, I'll invite you over here, please. Make sure I've got the right envelope. I would like to invite you to please tell us who is our South Australian 2024 Senior Australian of the Year.
Thank you. What an amazing 4 people. Okay. It gives me great pleasure to announce the 2024 Senior Australia of the Year is Sister Meredith Evans.
Congratulations, Meredith. South Australia's 2024 Senior Australian of the Year.
I'm supposed to ask you to stand here so we can get a clear view of you. They want a clear view of me? Yes, they do. I'll give you that. Oh, hang on to these. Do you need your notes?
Okay. Nice to have a clear view of our winner here. Meredith, congratulations. What does receiving an award like this mean to you on a personal level?
I think on a personal level, I think it's a recognition of the many people that have walked this journey with me. That's the Circle of Friends, Justice for Refugees, Young Mercy Links, St Vincent de Paul Society. I knew from an early stage of welcoming refugees into our Australian community that we couldn't do it just as one-to-one individuals. It needed a group of people to journey with people coming to a new country. I think there's that saying, it takes a village to raise a family, and it takes a lot of dedicated people, committed people, generous people to walk with people who've made Australia their home. So I think it's a recognition of the many people that have been walking with us in this time.
That's very kind of you to say that, but it's true. It takes so many people. I'm sure they're behind you. What initially inspired you to choose your vocation and not just assist communities here in South Australia, but also abroad?
I think I'm immensely grateful to my family of origin, particularly my parents, because I think as long as I can remember, I had a passion for social justice. And it was really, and I think that developed over the years, particularly when I joined the Sisters of Mercy of Australia and Papua New Guinea. And the last 12 years, I have spent a lot of my life walking with people who've come to Australia to find a place where they could be free from persecution or oppression. And I think that's the driving force. And it's what those people have taught me about resilience, about determination, about the ability to learn a new language, to find a new place to be settled in Australia. That's given me the courage to keep going. They have given me the courage to keep going when the going's been tough.
Such true words, Meredith. Just finally, to senior Australians who are here tonight listening, how important is it for them to remain connected to, participating in, and like you, leading within their communities?
I think that one thing I really felt might come out of this whole experience for me, I must admit, when I first got news about it, I was entertaining some people from the neighbourhood and I dropped the phone in the kitchen, and the poor person on the other end of the phone kept on saying to me, "Are you there? Are you there?" And I said, "I'm in shock. That's what's happened to me." But I think what it taught me is that every single person, no matter what age they are, and I work with a lot of young people in Young Mercy Links when we go to Cambodia in December to build some houses. It just gives me a sense of we can all make a difference. We can all make a difference for good and for being a community that really welcomes the stranger, the person that needs a place to call home.
Wonderful. Really heavy. Sister Meredith Evans, South Australia's 2024 Senior Australian of the Year. Thank you. You are an inspiration. Okay, our final category this evening is, of course, South Australia's 2024 Australian of the Year. The Australian of the Year Award celebrates the achievements and contributions of eminent Australians who are role models for us all. As you know, and as the Premier reminded us, we've had some dynamic past recipients. And what's really great is that they come from such different sectors and backgrounds. It's a real privilege to witness what they achieved during their time as Australian of the Year and celebrate their causes, passions and achievements. Let's remind ourselves of some of them.
I think we can all really aspire to be like the Australians of the Year. The Australians of the Year really help to shape our nation as we move into the future, which is why we should be so grateful for their ongoing work.
We have to have greater representation of people with a disability absolutely everywhere. In our boardrooms, in our parliaments, in our mainstream schools, on our dating apps, on our sporting fields, in our universities, absolutely everywhere.
If I can make a difference to someone else's life, if they can draw some strength by hearing what I say and knowing that I'm speaking on their behalf, it'll give me a lot of hope.
I'm going to continue to be myself, keep standing up for what I believe in, and hopefully by doing this, other people will follow.
When you look back at the amazing list of Australians of the Year over the last 60 plus years, it's an extraordinary group of people. Musicians, athletes, scientists, Aboriginal leaders, advocates, environmentalists, rescuers. It's an amazing list of incredible Australians.
There's a temptation to take the easy route, to think that life will be better if we mould it to make it as comfortable as possible.
Time is short, get amongst it and take your kids with you.
What if instead of spending their precious time and energy at war with their bodies, our young people were free to become the leaders, big thinkers and game changers the world needs more of right now? It's not our bodies that need to change, it's our perspective.
Some amazing Australians of the Year there. And we are lucky enough to have Taran Brumfitt our 2023 South Australian and Australian of the Year, here with us tonight. Taryn, please join us on stage.
My time as Australian of the Year has been quite extraordinary. It's day 280. I'm not sure if I'm counting up or counting down. But if you've heard me speak before, you'll know I always share a quote by a man called Steve Furtick, and that is, don't compare your behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. So as I share a few highlights of being Australian of the Year with you, please also know that there's been a few lowlights too. It's not easy. There's been a few tears. There's been a bit of sweat. There's been a bit of jet lag, a bit of frustration, exhaustion. But that is the whole human experience, and we need to talk about both of those things. So I've met the President of the United States at the White House, met with the Consul General in New York, screened the Embrace Kids film to a room of professors at Harvard University in Boston, attended the opening of the Australian Embassy in Washington, DC, and delivered the National Press Club address in Canberra. And all of that has happened in the last 7 days. It has been a really big week. Thank you. But I tell you what has made my heart really sing for most of this year, and it's getting on a bus and connecting with students from Port Pirie and Whyalla and Port Lincoln, and hosting the Embrace Youth Activate event with 1,000 kids at AFL Max right here in Adelaide, delivering keynotes in Orroroo, and wherever possible, unapologetically putting the needs of South Aussies first above anyone else in the nation. Minister Gorman, block your ears now. Whoever's name is in this envelope, my advice to you is to buckle up, ignore the noise, re-knock on all the doors that were previously closed, and as Steve Martin once said, be so good they can't ignore you. You two are going to have an extraordinary year. Thank you.
That is an incredible week, amazing week. Okay, for the last time this evening, let's meet our nominees for South Australia's 2024 Australian of the Year.
Stella Braun uses her lived experience of childhood family violence, sexual assault, mental ill health and trauma to improve people's lives. Stella helped establish 1-800-RESPECT, the National Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Helpline. She also helped develop a lived experience workforce in South Australia's public hospital system. She devotes herself to advocating for marginalised people and has received multiple awards for her impact. Associate Professor Susan Evans is co-founder of the not-for-profit charity Pelvic Pain Foundation of Australia, which promotes education, advocacy and research in pelvic pain and endometriosis. A practitioner, researcher, volunteer advocate and mentor, Susan also helped secure government funding and the first national action plan for endometriosis. Susan's biopharmaceutical company, Alira Biotech, develops novel intrauterine products to treat women's pain. Tim Jarvis AM is an environmental scientist, author, filmmaker and philanthropist who seeks pragmatic solutions to climate change and biodiversity loss. This includes South Australia's Fork Tree Project, which involves restoring degraded farmland back to nature. This year, off the World Heritage listed Macquarie Island, Tim helped secure 475,000 square kilometres of marine sanctuary, a huge win for ocean protection. April Laurie is a Mirning and Kukakatar woman heralding from South Australia's far west coast. For 20 years, she has steered local native title services, alongside 30 years of leading systemic reform in Aboriginal health, education, justice and child protection. As a leader in Aboriginal children's rights and native title services, April is a changemaker for Aboriginal children and community.
So proud of all of our nominees tonight. So proud. Taryn, would you do us the final honour of please presenting these remarkable finalists with their certificate, followed by a photograph with the Premier. I would like to welcome to the stage the nominees, Stella Braund. Associate Professor Susan Evans. Timothy Jarvis, AM. April Laurie. Let's give all of our nominees a huge round of applause. Such amazing people. Taryn, it's our final award. Who will be South Australia's 2024 Australian of the Year?
The 2024 Australian of the Year for South Australia is Timothy Jarvis.
Congratulations, Timothy, South Australia's 2024 Australian of the Year. You've got to stand out there on your own, I'm sorry. Look, you have been a mountaineer for years. You've seen with your own eyes what's happened to snow, to the polar ice caps. So, given that, how do you maintain hope for the future in doing the work that you're doing?
Wow. People who know me will know that I'm not often lost for words, but I'm really lost for words. Thank you, everybody, for this award. I was digging weeds at the Fork Tree Project on my own on Sunday, and this is about as big a contrast as you can get. Look, I've undertaken expeditions over many, many years, and I think one of the key things about expeditions that you learn from, in parallel to the environmental science work I do, is you control what you can and try not to worry about the rest, and you focus on what you can control. It will be easy for each of us to be overwhelmed by the scale of the challenge ahead of us, and indeed the scale of the challenge is big. We have a number of existential threats. They do not relate to what is going on in Gaza or the Ukraine or COVID. They relate to biodiversity loss and climate change, but it's up to each of us to have that kind of perspective, control what we can. And if I can say, it's the kind of initiatives that all of us, all of the nominees are involved in that really make that difference. It's not being overwhelmed, focusing on what you can and making a difference.
I know there must be so many thoughts going through your mind at the moment, but one of them might be, what does the year ahead hold for you now that you have this award?
Well, there are many things. I've been privileged enough to use some of the profile from the polar expeditioning I've done to try and affect change down there. What we've got to remember is that places like the Antarctic don't have any people there, so any of the effects that you see down there are effects caused elsewhere. Antarctica is twice the size of Australia, and the average ice thickness, for people who've heard me speak before, is a staggering 2,050 metres. We've got 70 metres of global sea level rise happening if that were to melt. So look, I think it's extremely important to keep using the examples of that to affect change. I've been lucky enough to work with the federal government to try and protect parts of the Antarctic. I worked on the Macquarie Island campaign with the Pew Foundation, and we managed to secure a 475,000 square kilometre marine sanctuary, which is the highest level of protection you can get. And this award, I think, will really help in the bid to try and repeat that if we can, cut and paste and use it for the Heard and McDonald Islands, which are the other two Australian subantarctic islands in our national territory, which are critical to try and protect if we can.
Timothy, the Australian of the Year award for South Australia is an award. It's not a responsibility, but of course, as we heard from Taran, it does give you a great platform to affect change. You've got all of these projects going, but if there is a particular achievement you would like to see as a result of this award, what would it be?
I think it would be the fact that everybody stepping up and taking responsibility for part of the problem themselves. The famous, sadly now deceased environmental retailer Anita Roddick said, "If you think being small can't make a difference, try going to bed with a mosquito in the room." You know, it's up to each of us to try and make a difference.
That's wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, your South Australian 2024 Australian of the Year, Timothy Jarvis, AM. What's next for our 4 recipients? Well, they now become nominees for the National Award, along with all the other state and territory recipients, with the announcement made in Canberra on the 25th of January 2024. I'd like to welcome to the stage someone who has the opportunity in his role to meet all of the amazing nominees across the country and to host the recipients in Canberra in January next year, the Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister and Assistant Minister for the Public Service, Patrick Gorman, MP.
Thank you, Deborah, for that introduction. Uncle Frank, thank you very much for welcoming me, as someone from Western Australia. It's been very clearly pointed out. Welcoming me to your land of the Kaurna people. I acknowledge Her Excellency Governor Francis Adamson. I acknowledge Premier Peter Malinauskas. And I'd just like to point out, Premier, that of the Australians of the Year under my watch and the Prime Minister's watch, 100% of them have been from South Australia. And that will be true until at least the 24th of January next year. And if I can, in front of a hometown audience, just thank Taran Brumfitt as Australian of the Year. Thank you for all of your work from all of us. You've been incredible. If you think about what these awards mean, they are about telling the story of our nation, reminding us that we are all part of that story and using those stories to bring people together. We've had 71 Australians of the Year. They have all contributed to that national story. And these awards, I believe, bring a positivity that Australia really needs right now. Positivity, inspiration, bringing people together, reminding us of what we as individuals and as a community can achieve. And when we celebrate the individuals, and I think we've seen that in the speeches tonight, you really are celebrating the work they've done with the community. And if I just reflect on what we've heard today, Rachel Zoltran spoke about it doesn't just come down to the backpacks, it comes down to the volunteers. And I thought that was a really great way of acknowledging what these are, movements in our community. And I also note she did give us some homework, and that's the other thing I find with recipients is they all give you homework. And she told her homework for us was tell kids they are loved and worth it. And I think that's a great piece of homework to take away tonight. Sister Meredith Evans showed us the power of working together and walking together. She says she was walk with people who have made Australia their home. And again, when we walk together, we are stronger together. Tiani Adamson told us to pass the mic to more First Nations leaders. I think something that everyone can find a way to do in their own work. And Timothy Jarvis, as someone who looks at the Senate and thinks about the things I can't control a lot, I think telling us to think about the things that we can control and to focus on not being overwhelmed, but focus on what you can achieve and what is possible is such a powerful reminder for all of us who seek to make change. So I think the final thing I will say tonight is just this. This is an awards night where everyone who attends wins because we all walk out a little bit more inspired, a little bit more positive, a little bit more proud of this country we call Australia. And there's not many awards events that do that. So please take not just the stories you've heard, but do take the vibe of what you have heard, the confidence in this country that we all are grateful to call our home. To the winners, look forward to seeing you in Canberra. And to all of the nominees, congratulations once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Patrick Gorman, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister and Assistant Minister for the Public Service. It really is all about the vibe, and I think it's been shown tonight. Well, to all 16 nominees here tonight, congratulations to you one and all. Please remember that someone in our community that nominated you thinks you are amazing, and so do we. You being here shows that it does not go unnoticed. To everyone who is here tonight or watching and listening, please get involved and nominate someone who inspires you at australianoftheyear.org.au and just follow the nominate button. And finally, we would like to acknowledge the partners who make this event possible. We've already heard from our category partners, that is the Departments of Health and Aged Care, Home Affairs and the Australian Government Office for Youth. We'd also like to thank our broadcast partner, the ABC. Thank you to our media partner, Australian Community Media, reaching rural, regional and remote audiences around the country. Thanks to our accommodation partner, Crown Plaza, and to our cultural partner, the Australian National University, who produce the amazing trophies. Thanks to our exhibition partner, the National Museum of Australia, and our legal partner, Minter Ellison. Please join me in thanking all of our partners for their vital support. Congratulations again to all of our recipients tonight. We will need to take some official photos with you, so please do stay near to the stage. On behalf of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, we wish all our nominees every success in their future endeavours. And to our award recipients, we can't wait to share this next incredible journey with you. Don't forget to tune into the national announcement live on the ABC the evening before Australia Day. Just like tonight, it truly is a beautiful and inspirational event. Well, that brings us to the end of formal proceedings, so I'd invite you to all please stay, have a chat, have a drink, network at the back of the room and enjoy the hospitality here at the Adelaide Oval. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and have a wonderful evening.